Greetings, YouTubians, and welcome back to Wayne Sharp World, where today we're going to be taking a look at one of my most anticipated knives of all of 2021. That is the Kizer Critical Mini. Now, before I go any further into this review, I'd like to thank you guys for tuning in today. If you like what you see, please do me a huge favor. Hit that subscribe button, follow along, and I'm going to continue to bring you guys the content. Now, with that being said, let's take a look at some overall specs on this knife right here. We have an overall length of 7.3 inches with a blade length coming in at 3 inches with a cutting edge at 2.9 inches. We have a blade width of 1.25 inches at its widest point with a blade thickness coming in at 0.12 inches. We have a blade steel of CPM 3V with a Wharncliffe style blade, a flat grind, a 4.3 inch handle length, and a handle thickness coming in at 0.47 inches. We have a handle width of 0.97 inches that I got about right here, so we're walking right around an inch in general. We have a handle material of micarta with a tip-up right-hand only carry, a weight coming in at 3.63 ounces, designed by Matthew Christensen of Christensen Knife Works, and a price of $99. So for the CPM 3V and micarta, and just a amazing small little design here, this is a really nice package for $99. Let's take a look at some size comparisons to see just how much of a smaller package it is from the original. Here we have another one of my favorite Wharncliffes. This is the Spyderco Yojimbo 2. And one more for just a really good size comparison, the Benchmade Bug Out. So as you can see, it truly is a smaller knife. The Bug Out is not a big knife by any means, and neither is the Yojimbo really. A little more edge on the Yojimbo, but man, the Critical really does have some really good qualities to it that we're going to go over here in just a second after a few more size comparisons, because I got a couple other ones that are pretty good, and I wanted to highlight something that Kizer's doing here. This is the Kizer Gemini, and this right here is the Kizer Sheepdog. Not the Mini, but just the regular size Sheepdog. And what we have here is a trend that Kizer's doing, and I want to really shout this out and applaud them for this, because what they're doing is something really amazing. They're taking knives that they've made before in premium versions with S35 and titanium, and they're recreating them, whether it be in different sizes or different price categories. They're putting micarta and N690, micarta and CTS BD1N. They're just doing amazing things, and I absolutely love this because it knocks the price of the knife down. In my opinion, it's making the knives better. It really is. Now, would I like to see an all titanium version of the Mini Critical? Yes, I absolutely would. We'll get into that in just a second too. But what they're doing with these, they're making them affordable for everybody, because this was a $205 knife that is now a $100 knife. This was a $170, $190 knife when it was titanium and S35, and I think I picked this up for like $75. The Sheepdog as well, it was around the $200 range if I remember right, and I got this for I think $89. So it's driving the prices down. It's making the knives look just as good, if not better, depending on your material preference, and it's just an awesome idea. So I really hope Kizer continues to do that, and I just think it's really awesome what they're doing in general with a lot of their knife models. So I wanted to point that out, and I also thought it was really good size reference points. And now one other knife here that I've got to compare this to. I mean, a lot of you guys probably already know what it is, but the original Kizer Critical. I've been a fan of this knife for quite a while. I always thought the original Critical looked amazing, with the exception of that gaudy swirled pivot. Other than that, though, that's what you have here. And as you can see, it is considerably smaller. But I'm telling you guys, you still get a lot of knife in this Mini. It just looks really good. And to be honest, I think it looks so much better. I mean, of course, without the scroll pivot, but also without the speed holes. I've never been a huge fan of speed holes. I think this is a much cleaner package. in all honesty, they really do both carry pretty well. This one obviously carries a little better because it's smaller, lighter, nice deep carry clip. But I mean, the original Critical is actually pretty thin, not necessarily light, but pretty thin. So when you compare the thickness of these two, they're really, I mean, they're just about the same, with the exception of the pivot. They really are the same. The pivot on the original makes it a little thicker at its widest point, at its thickest point. But other than that, I mean, very, very similar in thickness. A little more weight here, but as you can see, just a really nice, minimized or smaller package in the Mini, and you're not missing anything else. That was pretty cool. But yeah, looks so good. Love the lines of that Wharncliffe. Love the grind lines you have up here on this blade. I like the satin finish. The S35 and titanium version had more of a stonewash finish, so I really do like that satin. It's kind of it just really pops. It looks really good. I got hair in my mouth. Good God. Yes, but okay, back to the blade. Focus, Wayne, focus. But all in all, this is quite possibly my favorite Warney of all time. It looks so good. It's right up there with the Yojimbo and probably the Wii Snex Mini Buster. But there's something about this one that is just really, really catching my eye. And I think a lot of it has to do with the area up here. I love that swedge that comes in to the actual grind of the knife. It just looks absolutely beautiful. And it is a very, very powerful blade. But I was surprised. The reading behind the edge on this guy is 22 thousandths. So it's, I mean, 22 thousandths, I think everybody knows that's, it's an average edge. But I gotta say, this is the sliciest 22 thousandths I have ever cut with. I mean, it went through cardboard, and especially, I mean, obviously paper's kind of the first test we all give it, but you didn't even feel the actual cut. It went through it like a hot knife through butter. It was pretty impressive, and I'm assuming that has a lot to do with the higher flat grind. Not a full flat grind, but it's got a pretty high flat grind, and just a really, really nice edge Kizer put on this. It's also really awesome to see CPM 3V being used. For those of you that aren't very familiar with it, it's an insanely tough steel. It has great edge retention and good corrosion resistance. So a lot of very good qualities. Can be a little difficult to sharpen sometimes. I don't really have much experience with sharpening it. It was just kind of what I pulled from the research I did on it. But overall, it is a very, very good steel. And I think a very fitting steel for just the character of this knife with the Wharncliffe. And I mean, the work you could subject the knife to. I think it's a great steel. And I really do like seeing it in the folding knife market. Another thing I really like about this blade is the spine up here. Gives you a really nice place to put your thumb. The jimping is actually quite effective for as wide as it is. I wasn't expecting it to really bite my finger that well, but they did a really good job of making it just smooth enough to where it doesn't tear your thumb up, but it really does gain a good traction there, as well as the flipper tab that doubles as a very nice finger guard to keep your finger from sliding into the path of that very, very sharp blade. Another thing I really like about this knife is just the excellent blade to handle ratio, as well as the balance of width throughout the knife. So, obviously its widest point is around the pivot area, but they didn't make it, obnoxiously wide. You see the front and the bottom kind of start at the same width, and they both increase as you get to the pivot area. And I think that just works really well, especially with the flat here and then the flat of the blade. It just makes for a really attractive package. And like I said, just a really good balance overall. So just a really thoughtful, attractive design by Matthew Christensen. And going into the handle and ergos, this guy is just big enough for my hand to get a full 4-finger grip. My pinky is wrapping around the bottom just enough to where I do fully feel it in my grip. So it just feels great in my hand. It really does have excellent ergos. Even without contoured micarta, there's really nothing super special going on here to make it have really great ergos, but it happens to feel like that in my hand. Really, really big fan of the way this guy feels. And I also really love the pocket clip. They did a lot of nice things with this pocket clip, and they did it just right. So you have a clip that isn't totally recessed, but it's also a thinner clip, so there's not much sticking up. You have recessed screws with plenty of room to get that knife into your pocket hem. What is wrong with me this morning? But another thing that I like about this, and they walked a fine line here, but they pulled it off, at least for the pockets I slid this in. The ramp on this clip, it looks very minimal, and it is minimal. If you have thicker pocket hems, you may have a little fit trying to get it in your pocket all the time because there's not a lot there. But I was wearing khakis yesterday, and it slid in just fine. I do have some other pants I'm going to try these on because this is pretty minimal, but why I like it so much is you just don't feel this pocket clip. I mean, it really is a very quiet pocket clip in hand. There's no hot spots. I love that. You don't get that a lot. I mean, I can really barely say I even feel this, in all honesty. Maybe back here just a little, but there's also other points back there that kind of just, it blends in with. So it's not like, oh, there's the pocket clip. It just feels really, really good. And I feel zero ramp pressing into my hand, which I can't say about a lot of pocket knives. So I really do like that a lot. You kind of have to watch because, like I said, if you got some jeans from the buckle or some stuff like that, anything with thicker hems might be a little harder to get it into. I don't really have a lot of pants like that, but yeah, it's just a very, very well nice pocket clip. I like the lines on it. Perfect width at the opening at the end of it where it's actually going to sit in your pocket. Just really, really well done there. And I also really like the micarta on this. And the combination of the micarta with its black micarta with the gray backspacer as well as the gray pivot, it just makes for a really nice look combined with the satin blade. It's a nice neutral look from beginning to end. I like that a whole lot. I don't have a lot of knives like that. I do gravitate more towards brown micarta or like tan micarta over anything, but I really do like this one a lot. I don't have a lot like that, and I think that's why I find it so attractive. But you also have very nice and easy access to the liner lock of this knife that is very, very enjoyable to access due to the pretty buttery smooth action of this guy. This isn't a huge blade, but there's still enough beef here to really give you some nice action on the close, really nice and smooth. And as far as deployment, this is absolutely fantastic, and we're almost talking Kizer Mini Sheepdog level. It really is that good. A huge part that I think makes it that good is due to a combination of the really excellent design of the flipper tab, which is definitely works best when pushed in. I mean, you can light switch it and it works really good, but you generate just a little more power force when you push it, and it really does fly out very well. And another thing that contributes a lot to that is the width of the blade. So the way this blade is designed, there's not a lot of weight up top because it gets a little thinner with the grind and there's just less metal or less steel. But down here, you have a lot more blade. You got more beef right here, you got more width, so there's just a lot more weight towards the center of this knife. And the flipper tab kind of pushes straight in. And so you're pushing all that weight at once, and it just acts really, really well, kicks out, has a really nice snap, and you combine the blade shape with the flipper tab and add in basically a perfectly tuned detent, and you have action that is just absolutely on point. One of the best actions on a knives, especially for just a flipper, that I've experienced this year so far. Really, really good. There's really nothing I would change about it. And really, I don't know. If they put thumb studs here, I don't know how well that would work. I mean, I think it would definitely work and deploy the blade, but I don't think it would actually. I don't know how well it would do with the flipper so close to your hand there. May not be the best knife to have multiple deployment methods. So I'm totally fine with just this flipper. Really like that a lot. It's a great way to open the knife. And sometimes you just don't. I mean, as much as I do like multiple deployment methods on a lot of knives, sometimes you really just don't need it, and you don't need it on this knife. You really don't. It's very fidgety as is. It looks great. There's just so many good qualities to this knife. I'm gushing over it pretty hard. I kind of thought I was going to like this knife because I already knew how much I liked the original Critical, but it really did actually exceed my expectations. Just a fantastic knife. One I would highly recommend for all you guys to keep a sharp eye out for, because I think it's going to be enjoyed by a pretty big majority of the knife community. This may be a hard one to get when it starts dropping. I actually got this one here at White Mountain Knives. It is sold out. I don't know how much they got in. I haven't seen them in anywhere else, so keep your eyes peeled. They're still going to drop at a lot of places, and I'm still a little confused on what exact handle materials and all that are going to be coming out, because I see two different pictures at Blade HQ. I see different pictures at Knife Center. So just keep an eye out. If this is something that you'd like to try and pick up, they're going to be dropping soon, but I don't know when. I don't talk to any of the major retailers outside of DLT Trading, so I don't really know anyone else's shipping or receiving schedule. I don't even know DLT's really. They don't tell me that, but I just, say, talk to them because they're awesome and support the channel. But they're going to be coming at a lot of places, so keep your eyes peeled. I highly, highly recommend this. This is an easy contender for Knife of the Year in its price category for me. I really do love it. It's an awesome knife. Really nothing I would change about it. I'm really, really happy to pick one of these up and bring it to you guys. Let me know what you think. Is this a knife you guys are going to be keeping your eye out for this year? Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Hope you have an absolutely fantastic rest of your day. And until the next one, I'm out.